You know, when we think about caring for an aging parent, our minds usually jump straight to the practical stuff, right? Doctor's appointments, medications, all the logistics. But what about the huge emotional journey it takes us on? That's what we're diving into today, looking at philosopher Kishimi Ichiro's work on this exact topic. It offers a whole new way to not just get through it, but to actually connect.
Let's just start with this quote, because it hits on a feeling that so many of us have, but we just don't talk about. This sense that it's a private burden, something to be ashamed of or hidden away. The reality is, this is an almost universal experience, and yet, for some reason, we try to handle it all in silence, almost like it's a secret.
Okay, so here's our path for this explainer. We're going to start by unpacking that hidden struggle. Then we'll get into the book's absolute core idea, forging a totally new kind of relationship. After that, we'll see what it means to let go of yesterday, understand the incredible power of just being there, and finally, find the courage to be imperfect.
Right? So first things first, we have to just acknowledge the reality here. This journey, it can be completely overwhelming, and it's a topic we tend to avoid, even with our closest friends, which is kind of wild when you think about how many of us are going through the exact same thing.
And this feeling of being totally alone, it creates this silent crisis. You're not just managing a parent's health, you're dealing with a slow, painful loss of the person you've always known. And it really can feel like you're the only one in the entire world trying to figure out how to navigate it.
So, where do we go from here? Well, the author, Kishimi Ichiro, he suggests a really fundamental shift in how we look at this whole thing. This isn't about trying to fix what's broken or, somehow turn back the clock. No, it's about something else entirely.
And this, right here, is the big idea. You have to stop trying to connect with the parent from your memory. Instead, the goal is to build a brand new relationship with the person who is right in front of you, today, in this moment. That reframes everything. The goal isn't restoration anymore, it's connection.
This really breaks it down, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the old relationship. It's heavy, it's based on all that shared history, those old roles of parent and child, and the goal is always to try and fix things, to get back what you lost. But on the other side, the new relationship, it just lets all of that go. It's about right now. It's about two adults connecting in the present. The goal completely shifts from the impossible task of fixing to the deeply meaningful act of just being present.
So how in the world do we actually do that? Well, the first real practical step is to let go of yesterday. So much of the pain and frustration we feel comes from clinging to the past, right? From constantly comparing who our parent is now to the person they used to be.
Kishimi tells this incredibly powerful story to drive this home. His father, who had dementia, one day looked at a picture of his own late wife, a woman he had loved for 25 years, and he had no idea who she was. I mean, can you imagine? For a child, a moment like that is it's devastating. But here's the unbelievable part. It was actually Kishimi's father who came up with this solution. In this brief moment of clarity, he looked at his son and said, "Just forget everything from the past and start over." Even in his state, he somehow knew that holding on to what was lost, that was where the pain was coming from. He was basically giving his son permission to meet him right where he was, in the now.
And that's the whole point. We have to stop trying to quiz them, stop trying to force them to remember. It's just an exhausting battle for everyone. The real shift is accepting that every single day is a fresh start. You're basically meeting this person for the first time, over and over again. And that's okay. It has to be.
Okay, so this brings us to another huge source of guilt for caregivers. That nagging feeling that you're not doing enough, that you're not actively entertaining them or fixing something or solving a problem. But what if your most important contribution isn't about doing at all, but just being? Kishimi describes this feeling perfectly. He'd spend hours just sitting in the room while his father slept, and he felt like a total fraud. He thought, I'm not helping, I'm not doing anything, what's the point of me being here? He even suggested to his dad that maybe he shouldn't visit so often, since all his father did was sleep anyway.
And his father's response was a complete game changer. He just said, "That's not true. With you here, I can sleep peacefully." Wow. With that one sentence, his dad completely redefined what care even meant. It wasn't about the tasks. It was about the incredible sense of safety and peace that his son's mere presence gave him.
So look, your value is not measured by a checklist of things you did. The simple act of sharing a space, of just being there, can be the most powerful, most profound gift you give. It offers a kind of peace that no amount of doing ever could. It's all about shifting from performance to presence. All right, and finally, we have to talk about the impossible standards we put on ourselves. This myth of the perfect, patient, tireless caregiver. It's not just unrealistic, it's a guaranteed path to burnout and feeling resentful.
The author shares something incredibly vulnerable here. When he was caring for his mother at the end of her life, he was just completely and utterly exhausted. Years later, he had this dream that he told his father he was just too tired to go to his own mother's funeral. I mean, it's something he would never, ever do in real life.
And it took him a full decade to figure out what that dream was trying to tell him. It wasn't that he was a bad son. His own mind was giving him permission to be human. The message was that real courage isn't about pushing through no matter what. It's about having the courage to admit your own limits. The courage to say, you know what, I just can't do this.
So, what does that look like in practice? Well, first, just acknowledge your limits. You are not a machine. It is okay to be tired. It is okay to be frustrated. Second, redefine what success even means. Success is not a perfectly managed schedule. It's a shared laugh or just a quiet moment of calm together. And third, please, take care of yourself. You've heard it a million times, but you really cannot pour from an empty cup. It's not selfish, it's essential.
Because in the end, the courage that this all requires isn't about being flawless. It's about being willing to show up in the middle of the mess, the frustration, the sadness, but also the beauty, and allowing a new, totally different, but just as profound kind of love to grow.
And that kind of leaves us with this question to think about. Beyond all the duties and all the difficulties, this incredibly challenging chapter of life is also a teacher. So as you face this journey with your own parents, what is it teaching you about love, about letting go, and about what really truly matters?